Namaskar. Welcome to another episode of What Does This Data Say? Before the 2024 general election, there are 11 states which will go to polls. Now, after UP, the next two states which are going to poll this year is Himachal and Gujarat. Gujarat is very important for the BJP, probably as important as Uttar Pradesh was, because that is known to be the home of the Bharatiya Janata Party, and two major politicians, our Prime Minister and our Home Minister, come from that state. So for Gujarat, I am going to present some data about the political parties, how they stand in that state today, and also something about the previous elections, how well they had fought each other. We will also see some of the news reports which have been coming in the last couple of weeks, and then try to see where each party stands in terms of its chances for the coming election. Now, before I take you over to Gujarat, I am once again going to recap the Uttar Pradesh results for you. Now, why I am doing it? Because I want to stress on that point that BJP is entering Gujarat after a dent it has suffered in Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand. The BJP may have won both of these states, but it was not as they had wanted the results to be. Now, here's a figure which is a summary of all 5 states. If you add up the number of seats and then work out the loss or the gain over the previous election in that state. Now, overall, BJP in all 5 states has got 356 seats, but it is down by 50 seats. Congress is down by 85 seats, and the main gainers are AAP and Samajwadi Party, who have gained 74 and 64 seats respectively. BSP is down by 18 seats. So this was the net results of the 5 states. BJP was down in UP by 57 seats and Uttarakhand, I think, by 11 seats. So they enter Gujarat on the back foot, being down in terms of seats by almost 20% in the Hindi belt. After a massive victory in Punjab, Aam Aadmi Party will be entering Gujarat with a renewed vigor and thrust, and they see themselves as the main opposition party for the BJP. Congress stands nowhere, Samajwadi Party and BSP have no standing in Gujarat. Let's dig into this data a bit more. Was it an easy win for BJP in UP or a difficult one? We will now look at those places where BJP had won elections in 2017 and which party was the runner-up in that election. BJP in 2017 had won 312 seats. It had a direct fight with Congress in 47 seats with an average margin of 29,720. BSP, it had a direct fight at 106 places. Average win margin was 34,151. Samajwadi Party at 156. Average win margin was 26,794, and RLD at 2 places with around 20,000 margin. That's how they had won the 312 seats in 2017. Now you look at 2022 data. The BJP won 255 seats. The major contender here was SP. It was in direct fight with BJP at 206 places out of 255. The win margin for BJP was 22,500, down from 26,700 in the previous election. So SP had given a tough fight to BJP. The other party worth mentioning is the RLD. Instead of 2, it was at number 2 position at 19 seats. The win margin this time around was higher at 25,830. BSP, on the other hand, was a total washout this time. It was at number 2 place at 16 places and a massive defeat by over 68,000 votes average on these places. To tell you the story a bit more, I will now zoom into this average margin which I have been talking about. I'll first start with BSP. Though Mayawati has been making all sorts of claims against Samajwadi Party and the Congress, but this figure tells the story. In 2017, BSP contested 403 seats, out of which it was in direct contest with BJP in 106. And you look at the losing margins. She had almost around 30 seats which she had lost with less than 20,000 margin. Coming to 2022, less than 20,000, there was only one seat, and most of her losses were with a massive margin, greater than 50,000 6 seats, greater than 1 lakh 5 seats, and even greater than 2.5 lakhs, which means that she polled almost 0 votes. BSP had won just one seat this time with a vote share of 12.88. Now you can say that it was a bad performance of BSP or it was a very good performance of BSP, as they met all the expectations set by the BJP to the BSP. Now you look at the Samajwadi Party. Just see how close a contest it was this time around. In 2017, BJP versus SP direct fight was on 155 seats. The party had contested 311 and won 47 with a vote share of 28.3. At that time, the median of the margin was around 50,000 votes. In 2017, the party had lost about 50 odd seats with a margin of less than 20,000. But this time in 2022, the party has lost many more seats, which is close to about 90 seats with a margin of less than 20,000. So this time around, the Samajwadi Party had given a much tougher fight to the BJP. And I'll further show you how close this time around the fight was between SP and the BJP. Now this is a further zoom in of the same graph. These are the seats where the win margin of BJP was less than 10,000. In 2017, the SP had only 19 seats where it had lost to BJP with a margin of less than 10,000 votes, and about half of them it had lost with a margin of less than 5,000. Coming to 2022, the SP had 55 seats where it lost to the BJP with a margin of less than 10,000, but less than 5,000 it had close to about 20 odd seats. So this time around it has really given a good fight to the BJP in Uttar Pradesh. Very quickly I'll show you RLD's performance as well. RLD was nowhere in 2017, but this time around it has given a good fight to in the 19 seats where it has fought election, and less than 20,000 odd it had about 8 seats, and less than 1,000 about 2 seats. So that's it about Uttar Pradesh. Now I'll present you the data of Gujarat. The previous election in Gujarat was held in 2017, so I'll be comparing 2017 with 2012. Now firstly, let's look at the vote share of the parties in 2017. Notice that BJP had a massive vote share in that year, over 49%. In second place was Congress with a vote share of 41.44. It was a fight directly between the BJP and the Congress in 2017 in Gujarat. In terms of the seats, well, BJP got out of the 182 it contested, it won 99 seats. BSP contested 139 and got a duck. Congress contested 177 and got 77 seats. The others were hardly present. So how did the parties perform in 2017 compared to 2012? Well, here is the data. In 2012, BJP had won 115 seats. They were down to 99, but its vote share went up to 49.1, up by about 1.5%. Congress in 2017 won 77 seats. Compare that with 61 in 2012. Its vote share also went up by say around 1.5%. Aam Aadmi Party was nowhere in Gujarat. It did not win any seat and its vote share was 0.1%. So that was a comparison of the two elections, one in 2012, the other in 2017. But after 2017, many things have happened. The situation in the assembly is not the same what it was in 2012. There have been several by-elections. A total of 3 times the by-elections have taken place for 19 seats since 2019. And today the BJP has 112 members in the assembly. Congress is down to 65 from the 77 it had won, and a few independents have since then joined the BJP. So when the results start coming in this year or early next year, remember that election to election the figures would be different, but the situation what it is today, and then you compare the results, those statistics will turn out to be different. Now I want to show you how strong BJP really is in the state of Gujarat. Just look at this data of the 2017 election. Remember, BJP had won 99 seats. This is a retention percentage of 83%. The average margin by which BJP had won that time was 27,185. It took 15 seats away from the Congress and 1 seat each from the Independent and the NCP. That's how it had got those 99 seats. The margin of victory from the Congress and the NCP was below 10,000 votes. Since 2017 was a direct fight between the BJP and the Congress, just look at the Congress retention rate. Congress retained only 43 seats out of the total 77 that it had won, which is a 56% retention percentage. The average win margin for the Congress was a little less than 11,500. It took 32 seats from the BJP and 2 from the Gujarat Parivartan Party of Keshubhai Patel, which later on merged with the BJP. Now compare the win margins between the BJP and the Congress in that election. Look at the BJP win margin, which is well distributed from less than 1,000 votes to more than a lakh of votes. BJP has won several seats in this area, which is above 20,000, whereas Congress is totally missing in the large win margin area. It is more towards the lesser winning margin, which is less than 20,000 seats, is where Congress had won. So in those places also BJP had given Congress a tough fight. So with a 83% retention rate and huge winning margins in the state, the BJP is going to be a force to reckon with in the 2022 elections as well. So in the last section, let us review what the newspapers have been saying about the parties for the upcoming election in the state of Gujarat. For the BJP, it is said that BJP will be fielding 100 new faces in Gujarat, and the party president has told the MLAs not to approach him as this decision has been taken at the highest level. Now, with a 83% seat retention rate, dissidents there are bound to be dissidents. People who lose the seats may not like it. And AAP is going to stand on the side and probably will be willing to pick up each one of these because it wants to establish itself in Gujarat. AAP may have done well in Punjab, but it is nowhere in Gujarat. In 2017, the Aam Aadmi Party fielded 29 candidates and all of them lost their deposits. The vote share was less than 1%. It's going to look itself to replace the Congress space in Gujarat, and at best it can become a leading opposition party in the state. Because going from almost a zero state to win an election is probably highly optimistic. Well, the less said about Congress is better. As on date, it looks like it is nowhere. It has a laid back attitude. Last week, about 20 MLAs had written to Rahul Gandhi seeking an appointment to discuss the strategy. That appointment is yet to be given even after 20 days. Now, Jignesh Mevani, where is he? Is he in Congress or is he out of Congress? He keeps saying he goes with the ideology of Congress but hasn't joined the Congress. Hardik Patel had joined the Congress a few years ago. He ran a successful Patidar agitation in the previous election in 2017, which probably benefited the Congress at that time. After that, he is not to be seen or heard, and there is no agitation in sight this time around. Who is the leader of Congress in the state of Gujarat? That itself is not yet known. So I don't think Congress is in any position to provide a challenge to BJP this time around. So as I said, BJP is going to be a force to reckon with. Right now, the parties are not in any shape to provide any kind of competition in the state of Gujarat. It might be a cakewalk for the BJP, and it may end up enhancing its tally. Maybe goes up to 130, 140, probably even 150. But then they say few months is a very long time in politics and anything can happen. So we are going to keep an eye on the Gujarat developments. So that is all in this episode this time around. Hope to see you again next week for some other interesting discussions. Till then, namaskar and goodbye.